All right, we're back here on Ceraulo Sports Talk, and as promised, joining the show, he is the starting running back, the star running back for your LA Chargers, Austin Ekeler. Austin, thanks so much for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Joseph. I appreciate you, finally getting the time to get me on the show. I know you just told me you're a winner of one of my jersey giveaways, so you got me on fantasy. That's what's up.
Yeah, man, let's start there. This was from actually last season, the 2021 season. I got this jersey over
Yeah.
here that you mailed to me. It's the powder blue. It's the best kind. Little
Yes.
custom message.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, I appreciate you joining and everyone else that has me on their fantasy team. It's been another good year, man. We put back-to-back years together. We got a little bit more to go, and I'm looking forward to capping it off. I got myself on my only team that's made it to the playoffs, so got a lot riding on it.
I love it, man. I love it. Let's start there actually, because I was going to get there eventually. A lot of NFL players hate fantasy football. And I think it's actually incredible the way that you've embraced it. Obviously, last season, starting this, signed jersey giveaway. I think what won me that jersey was I had won by 1/10 of a point. And you were either on Sunday night or Monday Night Football. And I tweeted at you. I was like, yo, thanks so much for this win, man. It was really clutch last second. Why the decision to embrace it when so many players hate it? Obviously, it brings out the worst in people sometimes on social media. So
Yeah.
What was your little journey to fantasy sports?
I love how passionate about fantasy sports and sports betting that people are. And people have their money on the line, they have their pride on the line, so they really are into it. And as you said, that can bring out the worst in people because they do have so much, as far as emotional connection to their teams or their bet and stuff like that. So if it doesn't work out for them, that's when the Twitter fingers start coming out and people start DMing you about how they're gonna roundhouse kick you in the jaw. Like that's one that I've had. Literally, I've had someone tell me like, okay, buddy. But if you look past that, most of it is positive. I would say most of it is, in a way, when I mean positive, I mean it's a great way for people to know who you are on a nationwide, worldwide scale, something that's bigger than just your organization. And so that's what I love about fantasy sports and sports betting is it puts my name and myself in a light where people wouldn't know who I was unless I was in that, right? And I was giving them attention because if I was just focused on playing football and nothing really else, then my brand would be so limited because, there's a lot of opportunity to connect with these people that are fans of other teams, but also fans of Austin Ekeler now because I'm on their fantasy team and I want to capture that moment so that, I can leave a legacy on the people that are fans of me and have me on their team.
That's an awesome perspective, man. I absolutely love it. Let's talk about something that matters both in fantasy football and in real life, and that's your ability to get into the end zone at will. 34 touchdowns since week 1, 2021, 9 more than the next closest guy. I mean, no one's even close to you with respect to that, Austin. With all of that scoring comes the hope that you make the Pro Bowl. Last year, you led the league in touchdowns. You didn't make the Pro Bowl. Why should Austin Ekeler be a Pro Bowler for the first time finally in 2022?
There's things that you can control and there's things that you cannot control. And the Pro Bowl is one of those where it's not really in my hands. So I don't get too caught up in it. It would be an amazing honor. But, it's one of those things where I can't decide where, I need to do this, this, and this, and that's going to get me into the Pro Bowl, right? Because there's voting, there's people's perspectives, there's people's, bias that's thrown into it. So for me, if it happens to make the Pro Bowl, that would be an amazing honor. Absolutely. I'd love to be voted by, my peers and fans to get into it. But it's something that I don't get too caught up in because, as I said, just like with other things in life, if you can't control it, like you got to limit your emotional connection to it. And so that's one of the ones where I don't want to be the toxic guy in the DMs, be back in my fans like, what the heck, man? You guys didn't vote for me. I get it. Look, I'm going to go out there and play as best as I can. And if it happens, it happens. If not, guess what? I'm going to come back and still continue to play as best as I can.
Well, I'm rooting for you, man. Look, there's no way to sugarcoat it. You deserve it. And I hope you get the honor of being selected to the team. But I know that at the end of the day, no one wants to play in the Pro Bowl because they want to be spending that weekend prepping for the game the next week. And, it's not necessarily always the best team that is the last one standing at the end of the day. Sometimes it's the hottest. And you guys are hot right now. You were 5-5 at one point. You've won 3 out of 4. You have what looks like a pretty favorable schedule the rest of the way. Obviously, these are all pros out there. So nothing is a gimme. Nothing can be taken for granted in this league. But what's kind of clicked with you guys besides the obvious being health?
Yeah, and I mean that's what it comes down to. What you just said there at the end. We get some guys back, and our playmaking ability, our potential goes up, and we're able to see that with Mike Williams, with Corey being back at center, and then Keenan being back making plays. And so when you have some of these guys coming back, it reestablishes the consistency that you were, once, at the beginning of the season looking at. Like we going through preseason, like, oh man, like we're really consistent. We got a lot of playmakers all over the place. Start playing real games and start losing guys, it starts to go down. Just that's the way football is. There's a reason these guys are getting paid $20 million a year is because they're really good and they're really consistent. And so when you lose a couple of those guys, it's really tough on your consistency and your playmaking ability. And now we're getting those guys back. They're healthy. Right, we're coming down to the stretch. We were able to hold on long enough with a beaten up team to get us in a position where we're still playing meaningful football here at the end, and it's pretty special. And so that is what I would say is contributing to our run, is having these guys back, and playing consistent football with our coaching staff, putting us in a position, schematically to where we can win games. And even then, our games have not been blowouts. Like you say, we're in a rhythm, but it's not like we're out here dominating teams. It's just been like, hey, we're playing all the way to the end and getting the win. And that's kind of been our style of play all year. So I wouldn't expect anything less. And we're not trying to make it close. That's the NFL. It's competitive,
But you know what? The beauty of it is, though, like for so long, the Chargers' MO, for lack of a better term, has been that, you guys lead games and then kind of squander them away the past few years. Obviously, that was a big thing with Anthony Lynn, being shown the door on his way out. And so the fact that that's turning around, even though they're close games, you're finally consistently on the right side of those close games. How much of that has to do with Justin Herbert and the way that his game's growing?
Yeah, man. Like this guy, number 10, Justin Herbert. Oh my goodness. I've been saying it a lot these past couple of weeks. He's always going to give us a chance. Like this guy is going to get it done. He's going to give our skill players, our O-line, he's going to give us a chance to be in the game or to win the game. And, when you're looking for quarterbacks, you want guys like that. Like I said, we're not trying to make it close, but when it has been close, which has been most of our games, this guy's given us a chance to go win the game. And that's really hard to find in the NFL. If you can find that, you want to hold on to that as long as you can, because obviously you want to be winning by multiple scores, but that's not the NFL. So what do we need? We need a guy that is going to give us an opportunity to win games when it's tight, when there's 48 seconds left and, we're tied. We got to go down the field and get a field goal like we did last game with Tennessee. He throws it up to Mike Williams, who made that chance a reality and got us into position. So, yeah, shout out to Justin. We got to keep him up, keep him healthy, and it's going to be a good thing for the Chargers.
I would say so. Look, I know a lot of guys, you want to keep negativity out of the locker room, but you yourself, you're really prominent on social media. I know that you guys see things, you hear things. When Emmanuel Acho called Justin Herbert a social media quarterback, and then he went out there Sunday Night Football against Miami and put on a clinic. How much was that social media quarterback thing discussed among you guys?
I don't think it was brought up one time. Like,
really?
We don't like, it's only been brought up by the media, by people like yourselves that are bringing it up. Because for the most part, Justin stays out of the media. Like he does a press conference, things like that, and he's not into it. He's into the team. He's into just playing week to week. He just wants to play ball. That's what he wants to do. Kind of reminds me of Phillip Rivers, right? Who really didn't do him a lot of media. He just showed up and played and hung out with his family and the boys. And so yeah, look, there's negativity. It's all over the place. It's all smoke and mirrors. But for us, the reality is we have to go out there and play, and it doesn't really matter what anyone says about us. And so that's kind of the mentality that we take week to week.
Yeah, I think anyone who's not looking for clickbait knows Justin Herbert's the real deal.
Hey, that's the way of media nowadays. Like we have short attention spans, so however you can capture content and capture attention, that's what people are having to do. And that's the reality of social media. And is it a good thing, bad thing? I don't know. But it definitely, if you have a banger, article that's amazing and you don't have anything that's going to grab attention to it, you're going to get overlooked by some dude that said Justin Herbert's a social media quarterback, and that's going to grab all this attention. Everyone's coming over here,
Well, it's good that you can laugh about it. We're not all like that, but it's good that you can laugh about the ones who are.
Look, it's not that I'm laughing. It's just I understand the dynamic of media and how content works. And so, Is it a good or bad thing? I don't know, but it is the way it is. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to deal with it because you can't control it.
Well, look, Austin, before I let you go, man, you've got a primetime game coming up, Monday Night Football, right after the holidays. You're headed to Indy. We all know what happened in Indianapolis last week, being on the wrong side of the worst comeback in NFL history. How do you, as the opposing team, now you're going on the road to their house, how do you handle that? Because one of two things can happen. Either they could just pack it in and be done for the rest of the year, or they can come out extra juiced, extra amped, and try to punch you guys in the mouth early. So what's your approach going into that game?
Yeah, if you take playoffs and any post game stuff out of the picture, which you should because we're not in the playoffs right now, right? This is another regular season game. We still all of us, regardless of what the situation is, what our record is, we are all playing for our jobs and our futures, right? So we're all going to go out there and play as hard as we can because that's what's been ingrained in us since we were, small. And now, we're still living that reality where we have something to prove to ourselves, to our coaches, to the people that are going to be writing our next check, that, hey, we have value. So, yeah, there's no like, oh, look, they could pack it up. Even if you're, never won a game, you still got to go out there and try to compete. Because guess what? This is your longevity in the league. This is your future. This is your legacy. And you have to continue to write your own story. And so if you go out there and you're laying, goose egg because you're like, oh, I'm thinking about vacation, guess what? You're going to get weeded out of the NFL real quick because someone else that's hungrier is going to come in. So look, yeah, you don't take anyone lightly in the NFL. Like, all of us are getting paid to go out there and do this, and there's a reason for that. And so that's why we're taking it. That's how we're attacking it. We got to get ourselves right as far as our schematics for this week. But yeah, all of our focus is on beating the Colts, and we know that they're a dangerous defense, and we got to put ourselves in a position to win.
Well, Austin, I appreciate the time so much, man. Thank you, and I hope you finally get that well-deserved Pro Bowl selection.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Austin Ekeler, LA Chargers star running back. We'll be back with my best bets on this episode of Ceraulo Sports Talk.